Most people moving to Dayton, Ohio focus on a couple of areas, Centerville, Ohio, or Beavercreek, and actually for really good reason. But there's a corridor just north of downtown of the city that almost no one really pays a whole heck of a lot of attention to, and a major aerospace company is investing millions of dollars and a large-scale investment in that area right now, and that kind of investment and that kind of move is shifting the way and changing the way people actually look at this area and the way that they make their investments, and they reanalyze whether or not they want to lay roots and live in this corridor. There's a huge company called Joby Aviation, which is relocating a lot of their industry here to the Greater Dayton area and to Vandalia specifically. They're going to be actually building their propellers and a lot of the bodies for their air taxis. They're going to be developing them here right in the Greater Dayton area. We're not going to go into details on exactly what they do, but I'm showing you some images here of what these look like, and they are pretty incredible. So, like I said, you don't have to care about the aircraft themselves, but what you should care about is the fact that what follows when these investments are made in the Greater Dayton area. Thousands of skilled jobs, support roles, and people that are relocating, not just for Joby Aviation itself, but for all the supporting roles that help bring a company like this to the area. So, projects like this, they typically involve significant public and private investments and long-term hiring, which is a great thing for the entire area. So, places like Wright-Patterson Air Force Base benefit from a company like this making large moves. Also, we have a huge workforce here in the area that focuses already on aerospace technology. One of the reasons Joby chose Dayton as a huge hub for their innovation. So, this is a huge trend. A lot of advanced manufacturing companies are returning to the region after we've seen such a drought in manufacturing over the past several years. So essentially, when a company picks a location like this, it's usually because of the workforce, the infrastructure that's already there, and the long-term growth potential that is already present that they see as an advantage that they can not only place their roots in, but start to expand. So let's talk about some of the areas that are going to benefit from this huge industry. Right off the bat, we have this corridor includes places like Vandalia, Huber Heights, and Englewood. These all sit along the I-75 and I-70 corridor just north of northeast downtown Dayton. This is a major intersection north of downtown Dayton. So the commutes from Vandalia to downtown, you're only looking at about 15-20 minutes max, depending on where you live in Vandalia. Huber Heights to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, if you're civilian or military, often about 10 to 20 minutes, once again, depending on where you live in those locations, making this extremely affordable and easy. Huber Heights, this is the largest of the cities of the three we're talking about. So it's the largest city there. It has its own commercial base in terms of its commerce and has the Rose Music Center, which brings some major acts. So if you're looking for entertainment and you're thinking, what do I do if I move here? And if I'm moving for Joby Aviation, but this is what's bringing me here, what do I do for entertainment? Check out the Rose Center, some major acts nationwide, worldwide. Come here to Huber Heights for entertainment. So as I mentioned, these companies, when they pick these areas, they're picking something that already has the infrastructure. This isn't rural area. This isn't underdeveloped or undeveloped area. This is a fully built suburb that is ready to go, and it doesn't get talked about that much. We know it's there as Greater Dayton area residents. I know it's there because I grew up in the area. But this is an untapped reserve of workers ready to go. So now let's just talk about some of the housing compared to where you might be looking if you're relocating here to the area. So let's say you're moving to Huber Heights and originally you were looking at Beavercreek. Let's say you're coming here for Joby Aviation altogether. Huber Heights right now, the rough median price point, low to mid 200s, and that's market dependent, obviously, right? And Beavercreek and Centerville is often around $80,000 to $100,000 higher for a comparable home if you're looking from Huber Heights to those areas. So a quick example would be take a $220,000 home at the average give or take interest rate right now of around 6.5%. Compare that to $300,000 at 6.5%. And right there you can see what the difference is per month. Not to mention what the tax difference could also be compared with school prices and everything like that as well when you're comparing Huber Heights, Vandalia, and Englewood and all of their taxes to Beavercreek and Centerville. So the monthly difference could be anywhere from $400 to $600 a month, depending on your taxes, like I said, and also your insurance. So that gap isn't just price. That's your lifestyle. That's your savings. That's your vacations. That's your flexibility. And that's how much house you can actually afford. So if you're looking at just the price compared to what you could afford in Centerville or Beavercreek, you can afford a lot more house in Huber Heights if you're relocating here for this company. Now, also, if you're wondering what type of homes exist in these areas right now, the housing stock typically, in my experience, in all of these areas combined, on average, is mostly your 1970s and 80s build. There are some newer construction pockets throughout the entire area, but on average, this is what you're looking at. Huber Heights especially, brick ranch capital of the world. Look it up, that's what they're called. This is where you're going to find a majority of your 3-bedroom, 1.5-bath brick ranches. It's just what it is. A lot of these homes were actually built by Herbert Huber, hence Huber Heights. So, and you're going to get a little bit larger lots, a little more square footage in a lot of these areas compared to Centerville or Beavercreek for that price point. So, the emerging interest in new construction without overpromising anything is something that is starting to happen. So, as these large builders start to look at this area, as these large industries start to come into the area, we will see a lot more new construction coming up and a lot more interest in that. So this is something that's really exciting and on the horizon that we're going to be having develop here in the Northeast corridor. So hopefully Joby Aviation is just the beginning of something really big. Now, if we're comparing apples to apples, I don't really call them apples to apples, it's apples to oranges. These are some trade-offs. If you're saying, well, I originally was looking at Centerville or Beavercreek or Oakwood, right? But now I'm considering this. I'm watching your video, David, so tell me what some of these trade-offs are going to be. The first thing I always talk about is the schools. So I definitely encourage you to check out the Ohio school report cards. You can find them online. Ohio will tell you exactly how these schools rank. The schools in this corridor are very solid. Almost across the board, anywhere you go around here, you're going to have some very solid schools. So you really can't go wrong. But if you're comparing them side by side with Beavercreek or Centerville, they're not going to be quite as solid. So, and the amenities, definitely very, very practical. Not quite as lifestyle driven as the southern area of downtown Dayton and the southern suburbs, and fewer destination type places. Such as areas like the Green and everything that you're going to find in Beavercreek. So, and in terms of housing, once again, it can be a little bit more on the older side. So maybe some more maintenance that you're going to find, not as much new construction that you're going to find in Centerville and Beavercreek, which we've talked about in prior videos as well. But you can get a little bit more price per square footage, so the value is definitely going to be there for sure. So this gives you a sense of what you can prioritize. So if the price per square footage and getting more bang for your buck is what you're prioritizing, then this is definitely going to be something you should take into consideration as you move forward. So you're probably wondering, well, this is just now happening. This is 2026, we're in the middle of 2026. This is going to be a while coming. So why are we talking about this now? And this is because this is a pattern. This is a larger employer, and you know this is the start of a domino effect. When this starts to happen, things layer on. So once this starts to happen, there is a gradual housing demand that increases nearby. And once that starts to go, it builds and it builds. We already have a huge housing demand here in the Greater Dayton area. This is just going to compound that. We are in a tight market already as of June 2026, going into July just around the corner. So the market right now has not fully reacted to this employer coming into the area, and there are other employers that are right behind it as well that we'll talk about in the near future. So getting in now is going to be to your advantage, so you can take advantage of that appreciation that's going to happen when those market demands also catch up. So that's why timing is everything. Be the first domino, don't be the last. It's hard to time everything, but getting in sooner always beats the market. So the affordability gap, it does still exist. Dayton still has one of the best affordability indexes in the entire nation. So the Midwest overall has a great affordability level. So it is cheaper to live here compared to anywhere else. I don't like the word cheaper, but it's more affordable. Cost of living is less. You can get more bang for your buck. But that is not always going to be the case if we are on the upward trend and these companies continue to move in. So keep that in mind. Get in while you can. So the logical outcome is some of you will probably still choose Beavercreek, Centerville, and everything like that, and that's okay. Those areas are still consistent and they are still tremendous values. But some of you will definitely go the more affordable route, which I think is also a fantastic choice. It's all about what works out best for you, yourself, you and your spouse, your family, whatever your circumstances are. So once again, you're not betting on hype. This is a real situation. These are real employers that are betting on Dayton. They're betting on the Vandalia, Englewood, and Huber Heights Northeast corridor, and they are betting on you. So take advantage of that. So I failed to mention this at the top of the video. My name is David Moyer. I'm with Keller Williams Advisors Real Estate in Dayton, Ohio. I want to be your friend in real estate here in the Greater Dayton area. I want to be your friend in everything Dayton, Ohio. I've lived here my entire life, born and raised. I grew up in Springboro, Ohio. Currently live in Centerville, Ohio. Spend a majority of my time all over the Greater Dayton area. I know this place inside and out. So you want to ask me anything about anything, I could tell you that, especially when it comes to real estate. So if you have any questions, you can leave a comment below. It is me that answers all those questions. If you have an idea for a video, I'm more than happy. Leave a comment below. You can always find my information in the bio. As always, subscribe, share this with somebody else, and I look forward to seeing you soon or seeing you down the street here in Dayton. Thanks again.